Eric Muathe from Muathe.com. Let's take a look at the stocks that you mentioned as breakout candidates, and let's begin with FITB. And here we can see that the weekly chart did break many weeks ago, so we can even use this breakout, let's say here as an example. There was a breakout, which this entry here, and since this breakout we haven't seen a 2-week rest. So here we haven't seen any rest period, so I would say wait for this one to rest for at least 2 weeks on the weekly before you can get a fresh buy signal. Keep in mind, depending on how markets behave, right now we are leaning to the idea that markets could actually take the option of moving lower based on monthly charts. So we are not very eager to chase stock. So because we've taken a look at the monthly charts for the markets, and we have a suspicion that if the market remains negative for the month of December, chances are some of these stocks are going to have to pull back. So we are not in chase mode. So here you need another down week before you can get at least the minimum required rest period of 2 weeks on the weekly. We take a look at the monthly, and the monthly looks okay. As you can see, it meets the minimum requirement right now. You got your RSI trading above 69.1, which is fine. You got your RSI moving to 3-year highs, which is meeting the minimum requirement, which is also great. So again, the monthly chart would have to give you 1 month down and a breakout. So we would need at least 1 month down and then a subsequent breakout after one rest month. Then that would be when one can consider that an entry point. Keep in mind the stock has been moving higher over the last, let's call it consistently. Here it was up so it was up this month, here. We're talking about 4 months to the upside, 5 months actually. So it needs some rest. Okay, and you can even see that the monthly chart shows clearly that after breaking out, even let's take this breakout here, after that breakout we haven't seen any rest period. So all this does suggest that we still have to wait for a pullback and a rest period there before we can go long. Let's take a look at the that's just it. Okay, let's take a look at the other candidate, LUK, and this one has had a nice move over the last 3-4 weeks. This breakout here has been good on the weekly. We haven't seen any two weeks rest, so it would need to be down below this closing high for 2 weeks, and then any breakout after that would meet the minimum requirement. So even here we can see it needs a rest. Take a look at the monthly, and on the monthly take a look at the minimum requirements, and we can see here that yes, it meets the minimum requirement. RSI is moving to 3-year highs, which is great, and we can also see that the MACD, or at least one of the MACDs, is moving to 3-year highs. The main MACD is not moving to 3-year highs. That's not a big deal because at least one of the MACDs is at 3-year highs. So definitely does meet the minimum requirement. The only issue here is that we don't have enough rest period. You want to see at least either 1 month rest period or 2 weeks rest period. Let's go on to the next one. And HBAN, frankly here again, similar analysis. Irrespective of whether you want to own this, you still would want to have a rest period of 2 weeks on the weekly chart minimum. After this explosive move, you don't want to chase. In fact, I would say no need to go to the daily chart to find an entry. Remember, when markets are very strong, you can chase stocks on a day-to-day basis. For example, after 2 days of rest, after this closing high, there was 2 days of rest and then a subsequent breakout. There was a minimum 2 days of rest and then a subsequent breakout. So somebody could have bought this, no problem. But what I'm trying to say is, because we already are assuming that 75% of any stock's move is going to be based on general market direction, and the market right now, without knowing whether we are correct or not, is looking like it could easily go down, we don't want to chase stocks based on daily charts. We want them to be fully rested. So at least 2 weeks of rest or 1 month of rest would be what I would consider good rest period. Take a look at the monthly, and you're correct here that the stock doesn't meet the minimum requirement. it doesn't meet the minimum requirement because even the RSI is not at 3-year highs or not above 69.1. The MACD, or one of the MACDs, is at 3-year highs, which is what you want to see. So what would happen here, because the RSI is not at 3-year highs here, you'd probably need 1 month down, or minimum 1 month down. It could be 7 months, but at least you want 1 month down, and any subsequent breakout, so a breakout down the road, would push it to fresh price highs, and would give a chance for the RSI also to move above 69.1. So again, here we do need rest period. The last one here is TS, and yes, we can see a good breakout. If you take this breakout here on the weekly, it cleared that resistance zone and is above that. Since then, we haven't had 2 weeks of rest since that breakout. We've only had 1 week of rest here, that down week, and it continued to fresh weekly highs here and then here. So we would need 2 weeks of rest, just like the other candidates, to consider this a buy. Take a look at the monthly, and the monthly is, let's take a look at the technicals here. RSI just now coming close to 3-year highs. That's good. We can see here that the one of the MACDs is trading at 3-year highs. That's good. The main MACD is not, but that's not a concern because we need at least one of the MACDs to be at 3-year high. So here doesn't meet the minimum requirement, but the other MACD and the RSI on the monthly meet the minimum requirement. Taking a look at this chart here, we can see that the breakout level that was critical was this monthly breakout. We haven't had 1 month of rest since then. So again, for all the 4 candidates, what we need here is rest period. On either the weekly chart, you'd want to see 2 weeks of rest below a weekly closing high, or on the monthly chart, you'd want to see at least 1 month of rest before you can consider either of the candidates discussed here as giving you a buy signal. Now, if the market was very strong, stocks were breaking out, we can chase on the daily chart. But even here, you can see that after more than 2 days of rest, there was a recent breakout 3 days ago. So there's no rest period even on the daily. And I'm saying probably not a good idea to chase on the daily right now, with our suspicion that as long as markets are negative for the month of December, the monthly charts could be suggesting we should expect week to week, month to month, that the market could move lower. So we don't want to chase based on the fact that the big picture is not that exciting right now. It could change and become bullish. Then maybe some of these candidates you can chase on a day-to-day breakout perspective. But I would say probably wait for those weekly rests and the monthly rests. Eric Muathe, Muathe.com. As always, good luck, peace, and blessings. I see.